My name's Karis Kaiser. I'm a drone operator and TV camera operator and shooting producer director for TV. I've been using drones for about 5 years now, and this session is to where to get started to learn to fly a drone. A little bit about my journey into drones was that I was a shooting AP and then I joined the BBC at the camera department, and there somebody was talking about drones and I was like, oh yeah, I'd really like to have a go at that. And eventually I found the money to go on the training course and also to purchase my first drone. Since that time, I've left the BBC after working in BBC Sport and became a shooting producer director. I also do camera operation and also drone pilot. Drone wise, I've flown for BBC Sport, BBC Breakfast, I've flown for Channel 4 documentaries and Channel 5 documentaries, I've flown for property shows, and I've also flown live on outside broadcasts for BBC Breakfast. I'm also a flight instructor with Global Drone Training. I've flown my drone in Australia, in Iceland and in Switzerland. So I'm often asked, which drone should I buy and how much should I spend? And this is always a little bit of a difficult question to answer, because it's very much like saying, well, which camera? And as you know, there is lots and lots on the market. Unlike cameras where there's an abundance, there is a few manufacturers available. DJI are the market leader with 80% of the market share, and that doesn't mean that only DJI drones are available. There are other drones available on the market, and we'll talk about those very briefly. People ask, what drone did you go for? And I bought my drone that I was going to be professional on. I bought a DJI Phantom 3 Professional about 5 years ago. I had the constant worry about whether I was going to crash it into a tree, it was going to fly away, or I was going to crash it on the ground. So do make sure you've got insurance. I'm with Moonrock Insurance and they've been brilliant with me, and I mention them because people always ask me, who are you insured with? They haven't paid for any kind of ad or anything. It's just that they've been very good when I needed to make a claim, and that's when you find out how good your insurance is. That goes for anything, cars, etc. So get insurance, and then the next thing is that you may look at a refresh policy with your whoever you buy the drone off, but we're going to look at different places that you can buy drones as well. So the different types of drones that are available, I mentioned DJI. They are obviously the market leader in the UK that we've talked about. So aside from DJI drones, there is Parrot, and the Parrot Anafi is a brilliant little drone. It's got a great little camera. I've had some students that have come from drone training for the flight examinations, and they've been flying the Parrot, and it is quite a good little drone, and they've enjoyed that as a starter drone. Next up, available on the market is the Etool Evio 2 Pro drone, which I notice is on the WEX photo and video resellers marketplace, and a new one of those is £1,779. I don't know if it's got extra batteries with that or not. So there are alternatives, and then you can get drones from the US, and there is Skydio 2. I believe that is a very good little drone. Another option for buying a drone could be a well-known auction site. However, you don't know where that drone has come from or what's wrong with it, but you may save yourself a significant amount of money. Alternatively, what I noticed recently is that MPB do resale drones, and they have second-hand ones, and their faults are listed, and I think you get a short-term guarantee with that. So that's an option. So it might be a little bit more than an auction site, but less than buying brand new. Once you've decided on the drone that you're purchasing and you've got it, first of all, read the manual, and then you really need to learn how that drone works. And every single drone you will find there'll be a Facebook forum for people that fly that particular type of drone, but then there'll also be how-to guides on YouTube. So and instructional videos often created by the manufacturers. Many of the drones come with a simulator, so
You can practice indoors in a mode where you don't have the props on the drone, and you can practice taking off and landing. Now, it's not going to be the same as doing it for real, however, it'll just get you used to using the sticks. If you've played video games or had remote control vehicles, cars, boats, or planes when you were growing up, then you'll be able to use those skills, because that is very relatable to flying a drone. However, if you're a beginner and you've never flown a drone, they are quite easy to fly. But what I would always suggest is that you don't use the automatic takeoff and automatic landing, because you're not going to be in control of that drone. When you start flying drones, you need to follow the drone code, and it's on this website on screen now. I'm not going to read the drone code out as part of this presentation, however, it is available as a download from dronesafe.uk. The drone code is a fairly simple set of rules about where you can and can't fly if you're not professional. Once you become professional or gain additional certification, you can fly in different areas. The next thing you need to do is register as an operator on the CAA website. This is a legal requirement. The cost is £9 per annum, and you register, and it's so that you've got a little bit of information around about you and what your intentions are with the drone, and then it also gives you an operator ID, and this operator ID must go on the drone. It's the law. And then also there is an online test for the person that is going to be flying that drone. So you might register as an operator, and you might be a father and daughter duo, and it might be that the father is registered as the operator, but both of you are going to fly that drone, and so both of you need to take the online test. There's some information there and course materials. It's very straightforward, and you can take the test as many times as you like, and actually it's not very taxing and it's quite interesting. So now what you're looking for is some wide open space that's safe and legal for you to fly with the drone that you've purchased. Please be aware that a lot of wide open spaces that we think that we could possibly fly at, we wouldn't really actually get permission, and that could be National Trust, Historic England or English Heritage. These areas have bylaws, so you need to check that. And a really useful site for checking who owns that land or whether that land is open for flights by drones is a new website called Drone Prep. And this particular company are trying to open up airspace for drone users. So that's quite useful. And then sometimes you get to fly in places that you never thought you'd be able to fly, and you just need to ask permission. A friend of mine is a head gardener at a park in a city, and they allow drones to fly there, and all you have to do is ask the gardener and you get permission, because their particular local council has decided that yes, they will allow people to fly drones in their park, but not over people and not when there are events taking place. Obviously there's the legal side of things, but they want to make sure that everybody can enjoy that space legally and safely. This inner city park was a big park, and making sure that people were away 150 metres away from the congested area, just in case people are concerned about that. As we know, we're not able to fly near airports, and so for us to check whether we're close to an airport on this open piece of land that we've asked permission at, and that we're safe and that we're not in the no-fly zone, there is a website, and it's dronesafe.uk, as demonstrated on the screen. Once you've read the instructions, the other thing that you need to be thinking of is a checklist. As professionals, we use a checklist every time we fly, and this is to check that we have done all the things we need to do to check before we take off. And it could be a good practice as a beginner to do this. So we check that we've checked the props, we've checked the batteries, we've checked everything is charged, and we might even have a load list where we pack our bag. Because I don't know, as a photographer or a videographer, if you've got to somewhere and thought, oh no, I've left my batteries on charge in the kitchen. These things, it's to help you not do that and to go through that process. Obviously it will become second nature, but even then we still do that because we're adhering to aviation law. The next consideration is weather. Wind, rain and drones don't go together. Each drone will have its limitations on what wind speed it can fly in, and so you'll find that information on the manufacturer's website or within the manual. Obviously, rain is something that you don't want to be flying in due to the motors and the electronics involved. If you're flying in snowy conditions, there are considerations with regards to the battery, because cold batteries and drones can be really difficult. It can cause a drone to fall out of the sky, so extreme caution should be taken. And if it's actually snowing, then you're going to get water that is going to get into those props, so it's similar to rain. Now we've arrived at our location, we need to think about a risk assessment, and obviously in a professional sense we write risk assessments before we do any flights. However, if you're going to just be a learner drone pilot, or you're just going to do this for fun, then you still need to be thinking about what's the hazard in this space that I'm in. This hazard may be people on footpaths, it could be people walking dogs, because dogs can take a great interest in drones. It could be sheep, cows, pigs on farmland, and then there's also horses. Now once you fly near pigs, sheep and cows, and you get to a certain height, they sort of forget that the drone is there. However, horses are flight animals and they are usually with people as well, and this could be quite a dangerous situation. And aside from livestock, the other things that are dangerous to us as drone pilots are trees, and then after that things like electric pylons and telephone wires, could be structures such as cranes and that kind of thing. So you really need to be aware of all of that. So if you're in an open space and you take off, look up and see what's around you before you take off, just to make sure that there isn't a tree overhanging the space that you're in, because as soon as you clip that tree, your drone is going to be coming out of the sky. As we're launching a drone into the airspace, we need to think about the other air users. They could be helicopters, gliders, hot air balloons, small planes. Although we talked about not flying near airports, there are some other places where it could just be a field with a strip of land, and that could be an aerodrome. So it's about being aware of that. Being aware of your surroundings is really important. At this point in the presentation, the plan was to show you how to get your drone airborne the first time, a few top tips for flying, a few exercises, and then to show you how to land the drone in a safe way. However, the weather had other ideas. So instead what I'm going to talk about here is about what you do next. You've been flying your drone between 10 and 15 times. You know, you've got familiar with how it works, how to take off and how to land. And at this point is when you start thinking about the creativity, about the shots that you're going to create, whether that's for stills or for video. As somebody who's just enjoying their drone for the film and the video, that might be it. That might be as far as you need to take it. However, if you're wanting to charge commercially for your stills or your video, you need to be aware that the law is changing on December the 31st, 2020. Currently, you need a PFCO, and that allows you to open up some doors about where you can fly and how close you can fly to things. Some of this is going to be retained and some of this is going to change. We're going to be changing to different certifications for different activities. And I'm not going to go into great detail at this point, but you can visit the CAA website and get information from there. And alternatively, if you contact Global Drone Training at dronetraining.co.uk, you can ask questions by phoning the office or looking on the website and finding out, do I need to do this particular course or not this particular course? If you currently have a PFCO, you don't need to retrain at this point. In the future, you may need to change to have that different certification, but at this moment you don't need to start paying for a new course. I'm always asked about the commercial opportunities for drone pilots, and if you're a professional photographer or a professional videographer, filmmaker, then you already have a client base. And with that thought in mind, you're going to have an opportunity to sell this new skill that you have. When I qualified as a drone pilot, I was working at the BBC as a professional filmmaker and thought that I'd be able to market my skill within the BBC, and I was wrong. It took me a good 18 months after qualifying as a drone pilot, and also having left the BBC was giving me an opportunity to market myself to my contacts, and that was the first time that I actually broke even and repaid back what I'd paid for a drone and the training and the insurance for the first 18 months. What pieces of kit do I need is another question that I'm regularly asked, and for that I would say that once you buy a drone, you want to be looking at having 3 batteries, because once you've made the effort to get to your location and the weather's right and you've got the permission and you've checked that there's no livestock, etc., you need to have plenty of time to do the practice. And if you're professional, you may want to have more than 3 batteries. Pieces of kit that are invaluable to beginner drone pilots and professionals are a wind meter and a takeoff and landing mat. Both are fairly inexpensive and can be obtained from various websites. You also want a drone carry bag or box that suits the drone that you've got and that you can keep all your pieces in there, and those can be your SD cards, your micro SD cards, and also think about seasonal changes. So a pair of sunglasses or a pair of gloves, or maybe both depending on the British weather. So those are the other things that you may be thinking that you might need as a beginner. Thank you very much for joining me today on this virtual presentation for the Photography Show. Please note, if you're watching this in retrospect, depending on the date that you're watching it, the law may have changed, so please check the relevant websites. This presentation is intended to be a short insight into flying drones and getting started. It's not to replace legal training in any capacity. If you wish to contact me in a professional capacity, I am available on LinkedIn as Karis Kaiser, and on social media on Instagram and Twitter I am the Drone Lass. Thank you very much once again, and thank you to the Photography Show for supporting me in this presentation.